Ann Hopkinson is the chair of Planet Earth Poetry, one of the longest-running poetry events in Canada. Hopkinson's work, now the nerves strike. Hopkinson's work appears in anthologies, Walk Myself Home by Caitlin Press, V6A, Writing from Vancouver's Downtown East Side, Arsenal Pulp Press, and Poet to Poet by Guernica Press. Most recently, Refugia by Caitlin Press. She won the Victoria Writers Society Creative Nonfiction Contest in 2018 and the Canadian Stories Poetry Prize for 2019. Her work was shortlisted for the BC Federation of Writers Poetry Prize in 2019 and the Federation BC Writers BC and Yukon Short in 2020. Hopkinson is known to throw caution to the wind, writing humorous poems which are often persona poems, as she enjoys taking on the voice and personality of each speaker. It allows me to play a role on the page rather than on the stage. I write of the ocean and of the extensive tribal fools and darlings who have taught me how to live, she said. I think tonight your tribe of fools just got a little bit bigger. So now, please entertain us, Ann Hopkinson.
Well, thank you, and thank you for that introduction. And thanks for inviting me to Port Alberni, virtual or wherever. I'm glad to be here. I thought I would read a selection, a medley of poems from different clusters of work that I've been working on for a few years, starting with some serious poems and moving into some humorous ones at the end. The first one is called Message from My Sister, and this was the poem that got me on the short list for the BC Fed Poetry Prize, and I was thrilled to be there with everyone else. My sister died too young, and there were times in my young life when I really needed a big sister to set me straight. So here she is in Message from My Sister. Don't tell me you're waiting for love, hesitating, anticipating fate will dump some first-rate, hunky blind date, some good-looking playmate right on your sad-ass empty plate. You could wait a lifetime. Don't tell me you're saving it for love, slaving and craving, but never misbehaving, stuck in an upscale condo cave, cradle to grave, talking about the guy you already forgave. He'll come back sorry. Ha! Shockwave, never gonna happen. Don't tell me you're hoping for love, moping and coping on weekends of soft dope, on a tight rope of booze, pills, and horoscopes, settling for a quick grope, or a climb down the ladder of love and elope kind of thing. Stop going to chick flicks. Don't tell me you're just thinking about love. You're drinking and blinking away tears for some past lover, some rinky-dink living with his mama missing link, some throwback cheap bastard rat fink who hurt you bad. He's not worth it, sis. Hey, listen, you don't have to sink down, shrink down, be afraid to strut your stuff. Keep your heart and lips shut. You know, wear that hot pink gown. We'll hit the clubs in town. Come on, meet me tonight at 10. That's that poem. I love to write my possible sister. She is unlimited. And the next couple of poems are part of an anthology that's coming out this summer. It's an anthology on aging. Don't know why they picked me, yeah. First one is called Missing the Seven of Clubs. But that's all right. It's the rhythm and pattern of solitaire she likes, turning each card over, the red and black numbers, familiar royal families. Soft edges make it hard to shuffle, slow to deal. But that's all right. She has time and patience, no reason to get dressed, nowhere to be except the kitchen table, looking out to the back garden. It's overgrown, blackberries and dill gone wild. goldenrod where she used to grow tomatoes. But that's all right. The owl clock ticks above the stove. The radio is on, some politician talking. Music she likes, and the weather. Dorothy might phone. Someone might come to the door. She misses her friend Vera. But that's all right. There are bananas and shortbread in the wooden bowl, wieners for lunch. She could make a cup of tea. She shuffles, cuts the deck, sees sun on the plum tree and a robin on the lawn. Thanks, Linda. This next poem is called An Old Poet. I saw his age at the reading last night. He moved to the podium in careful steps, as if dragging cement on his boots. As if he hadn't once lived in the wilderness, led rich city hunters up canyons and out again safely with their kills. Last night he shuffled, and his hand shook, reaching for water. I heard his age in the short breath phrasing as he mumbled into the mic, strained to carry beyond the first 3 rows. As if he hadn't once shouted, "This way," on the trail, or called out from boat to shore, "3 steelhead." Last night his lips barely moved, and he didn't love his voice the way he used to. I felt his age at the poetry launch. The younger, louder crowd knew each other already, and he waited for introductions. As if he hadn't been a poet all the days of his life, given his poems away freely for decades. He couldn't beat old age with powerful lines, the walls of his home plastered with words. That was a poem for Ken Belford. He's a poet from northern BC, from Prince George, and he passed away this March 2020. Ken and I grew up together in East Vancouver. So another thing is that all my life, I've made a point of swimming in famous bodies of water. It always seemed like a good idea to jump in. And so I have quite a collection called Currents and Tides. And I've decided to read 2 river poems from that collection for tonight. The first one, the Somme. Somme means tranquil, peaceful, a quiet river of little islands and wildflowers. Grasses soak in the peaty fenland. Ducks dip and rest on the shore. The river curls through villages, glides along stone walls, where swans, like angels, float beneath bridges. Lush now, where shells once blasted the earth and every tree died. Where men lived in trenches like rodents and bled into the mud. No enemy sights my body in the park. No barbed wire hooks my legs or tangles me in pain, an easy target. I can swim in the Somme under a sky bright with birdsong, not gunfire, with the grandchildren of men who fought here. Worn out from reading names on marble, I cool my cheeks in the river. I try not to think of the bottom, a metal midden, embedded with belt buckles, horseshoes, cook stoves, dog tags, tin mugs, and guns in a great conglomerate of shrapnel. The bones of horses and men compressed in the muck. I've spent a lot of time in Africa. I've lived in Africa, and so I obviously have to write a poem about the Zambezi. Zambezi. Brown, heavy with silt and slag, the river floods west to east, from spring to salty mouth, draining the Kariba Basin. Efflux from mines, ordure from herds washes down and is swept along. Mouth shut when you swim, don't go under. It carries mud reek and scent of water hyacinth, sucks trees from its banks. Lined with orchid and agapanthus, the open sewer streams through. Green clumps circle a hippo shit eddy. A skull hangs tangled in roots. A rib cage sinks into mud between sleeping crocodiles. Pull off the leeches, don't swim at dusk. Ochre cascades boil into white foam on rocks the size of elephants. Rapids bulge up midstream, sink like serpents coiling around Nyami, god of the river. When the wind picks up, it lifts the rot-rich vapor, the dead meat pong, over the riverbank and into smoky villages. Children dip their buckets and carry them home. Keep to the shallows. Don't swim alone. That's it. You might wonder why someone would swim in the Zambezi, but it's just so damn hot that you have to get in and get cooled off. Now, I've written a couple of pandemic poems, which are to be published in an anthology of pandemic poems called The Sky is Falling, The Sky is Falling, which is coming out this summer as well. Invisible Camels. A woman at Thrifty's market paces the bread aisles, shoves a few loaves out of the way, bends low, peers back to where no bread hides. They're out of sourdough, she says. She squeezes a multigrain loaf, rejects it. Flax bread the same. Her red face blinks tears. Where's my bread, she says. She leans forward, one hand on a shelf, the other a fist of Kleenex, a grown woman crying in the bread aisle at Thrifty's. And just before I think, oh, for Christ's sake, take a different kind of bread, I see the vanished bread as her one thing too many, the loaf that broke the camel's back. And on this morning of shoppers and invisible camels, laden with burdens unknown, when fear slices normal, reason disappears like bread from the market. I like the idea of invisible camels. This one is called Waiting for the Magnolia. In bud longer than usual this year, the magnolia waits 2 weeks to bloom. Branches reach towards spring, yet buds stay closed, silver-furred like baby seals, petals furled inside. The magnolia waits, knowing, as bloomers do, there's a right time to open. Not too early, in days of surprise frost, no welcome from bees, no boost of sunlight. And not too late, when heat wilts blossoms in a day and petals wither, drop too soon. The magnolia waits 2 weeks, another 2 weeks, as long as it takes, flowers safe within. Well, I've had some fun recently writing dramatic monologues. And these are the stories of mothers of famous men. And I've had a really good time doing them. This one is about Gertrude Hillary, mother of Edmund Hillary, who climbed Mount Everest. And I'd like to apologize up front to the entire Hillary family. I'm sure Gertrude Hillary isn't this one that I'm reading today. To the ends of the earth. Welcome to the Gertrude and Edmund Hillary Museum, Auckland, New Zealand. It is my pleasure to present these photographs that show the close mother and son bond between Edmund and myself. Follow me. Let us enter the first room. Gertrude and Edmund as a child. Oh, he was a lovely baby. His nurse said so many times. And an energetic boy, oh, always in motion, always climbing the hills around the ranch. I think he wore out 4 or 5 nannies. Here's a photo of us kissing goodnight. In the few moments I saw him each day, we formed a close mother and son bond. You can tell by the way he teases me, pulling away, making a comical face. And this room contains the photographs of Edmund's time at boarding school. Although separated by 2 oceans, we remained close through correspondence. Here is Edmund's letter telling of his broken arm from falling off a cliff. He wrote only 1 letter, but it is treasured. And this series of photos is me writing to Edmund. See how the seasons change in the window behind my desk. Notice my hairstyle, altered over the 6 years he was away. I have never felt closer to Edmund than when writing to him long distance. The war room is next. At first, Edmund was a conscientious objector. Yes, unwilling to kill. Oh dear. But after many long talks with me, he ran from the house straight to the enlistment office. Here's a photo of Edmund in his Air Force uniform. That's my finger covering half the lens. Even war could not sever our close bond. The next room is small, just large enough for photos of Edmund's married life and the birth of his children. Moving on. Here we arrive at the main salon, Gertrude and Edmund in Nepal and Everest. As he packed to leave New Zealand, Edmund begged me to remain at home in comfort, such a loving son. But of course I could not. I followed him to Nepal. I followed him to Everest. I'm awfully proud he made it all the way up and down the mountain. A man needs his mother when he's been on top of the world, doesn't he? Even fame could not diminish our close mother and son bond. This final room shows Edmund at the North and South Poles, the barren ice stretching for miles in all directions. Look at the lovely smile on his face. He did say he would go to the ends of the earth because of me. Ah, dear. A bit of fun putting on another voice. And this one I wrote in 2019 when we could just get on an airplane and fly without too many worries. It's called Rarefied Air. I'm the flight attendant. I'll take a drink first. Rarefied Air. Attention, passengers for Rarefied Air Flight 2019. Those of you with emotional support animals, please line up to the left of the check-in desk. Yes, madam, you with the peacock. End of the line, please, behind the little old lady with the pit bull. Welcome to Rarefied Air, Flight 2019. Sir, man in the green jacket, your goat is eating your boarding pass. Welcome to Rarefied Air. We hope your journey today will be... Madam, could you quiet your gibbon while I read the flight procedures? Thank you. Before I forget, I must read out the no-fly list, as some of you and your critters will not be boarding the plane. Tasmanian devil, vampire bat, goodbye, sir. South American condor, any snake from Australia, porcupines, hippos, crocs, and gators, of course. Big cats, really big cats, cougars, tigers, lions, and cheetahs. I shouldn't have to tell you this. In fact, all African animals, you're out of luck. Migrate now, Serengeti out of here. Oh, yes, you are correct, madam. Meerkats can come. Cuteness counts. Mollusks, invertebrates, bugs, and slugs must travel in a solid container. $200 US sold right here. twin scorpions will cost you, sir. No skunks, honey badgers, boa constrictors, or tarantulas. If your emotional support animal is on the no-fly list, you have a decision to make. Stay home, or if you choose to fly, release it in a designated area, now known as the pit. In that event, you may rent a puppy or kitten if you simply cannot fly alone, $200 US per flight. Pet poop bags are located in the seat pocket next to the in-flight menu. Please be quick enough to use them. Read the bag for a list of fines if you are not. Consider your fellow travelers. Is your pet disturbing a seatmate, growling at a defenseless old man, lapping from a stranger's wine glass, or crotch diving a young woman in a miniskirt? Be aware fellow passengers may not see the need for an emotional support ferret and may strike it with their book or tablet. Please sign the waiver absolving Rarefied Air from all liability. Note the option to tranquilize your pet during the flight. Still a comfort, even if comatose. Any questions? Lady at the back with the Vietnamese pot-bellied pig. Yes, certainly, madam. Pigs can fly. Oh, dear.
Love that.
I think that's my time up. It's been a pleasure to read to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Anne.
You're welcome.
So we do move into the question and answer phase if you would like to have. Okay, so well, let's open it up to anybody got a question? I think maybe I'll ask the first question right off the top of my head. And how do you manage to write such funny poems?
I drink.
Well, that's all.
I actually don't drink very much anymore, but no, every once in a while, a funny poem just hit. Linda Thompson, you know this. You know this. Every once in a while, something funny just grabs you. Yeah.
All right. Yes, absolutely. Now, anybody else out there got a question?
Yeah, I do. Do you crack yourself up when you're writing this stuff?
Well, after I've worked on it, for quite a while, a few months, like 4 or 5 months, it's not really all that funny anymore. So I'm laughing now out of nerves, but no, my poems get less funny to me and they get more about the actual words and figuring out the syntax and all of that stuff. Yeah.
Syntax.
And do you hear voices?
No, I love to put on other voices. I love to do somebody else's voice. I have a poem about Galileo's mother and how she's raising Galileo and she wants him to be a priest. And I really like her voice. She's great. And of course, he turns out to be a scientist and gets arrested by the church. So in that way, I hear other voices. I hear them so that I can write them out.
Okay.
Yes.
Hi, Anne.
Hi, Corinne.
Hi. I bet anyone sitting outside your writing studio is hearing gales of giggles while you're in there all by yourself. But I was just going to ask you about the African poem that you wrote. Where can I get a copy of that, or where is that one published? The one about the river, I think it was.
Yeah, the Zambezi.
Yes.
You know what? This is the confession. I don't have a book. I don't have a chapbook or a book of my own or anything. It's my own damn fault because I haven't worked hard enough at it.
Right.
Too much.
I'm sure.
But I am working on a manuscript, and those river poems, ocean poems, and lake poems will be in it.
Gorgeous. I can't wait to hear that one. I kind of want to hear it again now, but I'll find it.
I'll send it to you.
Okay. Thank you.
I believe Jewel has the next question.
Hi, Anne. It's amazing to listen to your poems. The one question I have right now is, how did you decide that you wanted to take the voice of a mother of, you know, more famous people? I just think that's really clever and very interesting.
Well, you know what? You're right. It is really clever, but it was not my original idea. I kind of massaged the idea from Carol Ann Duffy, the British poet, because I love Carol Ann Duffy. She's just my favorite poet going. And she wrote a book called The World's Wives, and they are the wives of famous men. And I thought, okay, well, that's done. I can't do that. And it's wonderful. You should read The World's Wives. So I thought, well, I'll do mothers of famous men. And it's a really rich vein as long as you don't care about the truth.
Did you, okay, just to follow up to that one, did you research those particular men, not men, but famous people to begin with? Like, did you have a sense, or did you just put yourself in there and decide, okay, I'm just gonna be that mother for that period of time?
Well, what I did do, and I do research because I want to get some facts right so that I end up writing a better poem if I've actually learned more and more about the famous man.
Right.
But I've lived a long time and I've been to a ton of museums. And my husband is a physicist and a physics prof, and we travel around Europe looking at different sites from famous scientists.
Okay.
So, you know, we've been to Volta's house and to Faraday's school that he went to and all these different things. So I do know quite a few famous men, but I do research as well, though.
No, but thank you for that. And I also appreciated your poems on aging.
Oh, good.
I thought they were very poignant.
Yeah, I turned 70 this summer.
Well, join me. I'm 75.
You're 75? Wow, you don't look it.
June the 14th, 75.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I'll have what they're having in terms of I don't know, face cream or what are you drinking? Well, you both look fantastically well preserved. I want to grow up to be just like you, but I think I would have had to start 20 years ago.
But I think poetry keeps you young. I really do, because you feel this great freedom in expressing yourself through poetry, and that keeps you young. The poets I know are wonderful, wonderful people who think, and I appreciate that, and that keeps you young.
And drink some wine, red wine.
Red wine. Yeah. Okay.
Well, then it's my turn to, look at that.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm just gonna